I am currently at about 7,000 feet on my second flight after I got my new engine, so it's my break-in flight. I have to stay, or they recommend staying at a high altitude, a high RPM, and you're basically getting the pistons and the rings and everything set. But I've been asked, what happened, and this is a good opportunity to tell that because I've got a couple hours to kill up here. It was on July 1st of 2024, and I had some friends in town, out-of-town friends, and they wanted to go see the Cadet Glacier. We did the run-up, everything sounded fine, and we got on runway 23. I started my takeoff roll, good to go. As I throttled up, just like I just did, I felt an RPM drop right about there, and so I had just a second or two to figure out what I needed to do, and that was to the aborted the takeoff, because I'm at the end of the runway right now. So I didn't have much time at all to get stopped. Instant to make a decision, and with all of my aeronautical decision making that I've got behind me, which isn't a lot, and that's one thing this video is about, is being a relatively new pilot, making these decisions that I have never had to make before, and they're life and death. And what ended up happening is I aborted the takeoff about halfway down the runway, and I was already up to speed to take off, and I had not very much runway left, and so I dropped the flaps and basically skidded to a stop. And my friends who had never been in a small aircraft before, they were kind of freaking out, and so I told them what was going on. I said it was probably nothing, but we needed to go check it out, and I dropped them off, and we're going to reschedule, hopefully. And as I was taxiing around to do a test run, this knock started happening from the engine. It was just this, as the RPMs increased, then the knock increased, and I've got a video of that that I sent to my mechanic. He immediately told me to shut it down, and after I took it to him, he told me that it probably, whatever he told me, it was in one ear and out the other. I didn't really understand what was going on. He's talking about cams and the pistons and all this stuff. And again, not knowing hardly anything about engines, I let him be my guide, and he started shining the flashlight inside the engine. Once he took a piston out, you could see those lobes of the cam, and there were some of them that had nicks all over it, and we didn't know what was going on, but there was something inside that had broken, and it had caused that knock. And I took it over to the engine repair place, and they proceeded to start tearing it apart, and then they invited me over to take a look at what had happened to the inside of the engine. And as he had all these parts sitting out, he showed me the piston that had broken. And here is a picture, or here is the actual piston, and this is what it looks like normal, and this is the side that broke off. And you can see there's hairline cracks all throughout. And making that instantaneous or momentary decision to shut it down probably ended up saving me from a catastrophic failure. And that being said, that I would have shut down the engine completely in flight. And what it looked like is, you throw a spoon in a garbage disposal and it bounces around in there, and that's what it looked like. Just parts of this piece of metal had just bounced all around in there and caused all sorts of damage. So I had to do a complete engine overhaul. And so today is March 31st. It's about 9 months that I've been without a plane. And not only did it take the time, but also a hell of a lot of money. And I was fortunate enough to have been able to resource that money to get it paid for. But then it comes back to, this is a learning experience. Just because I got my pilot's license doesn't mean that, I know exactly what to do and when to do it. And luckily I've got people that I can reach out to and say, hey, this is what's going on, and they have the expertise to do it, like my mechanic and the engine guy. And so I know that it's everything about aviation is in making the right decision. And apparently, like I've said before, something in the universe is trying to keep me alive, and I'm just trying to figure out what it is. But every day I'm going to live like, I'm going on these adventures and doing what I can to enjoy Alaska and the flying and the aviation and all that. So I'll be doing these high altitude flights for a while, at least like 25 hours or so. But yeah, it could have been a whole lot worse, but it wasn't. And I'm here to tell the story about it. And so trust your gut. That's one thing. As I was on takeoff roll, man, I just needed to, it's something inside me that you better shut this down. Because I had that thought in my head, like, okay, these folks, they're here on vacation, and, they're probably never going to come back. So chances are this is the last time they're ever going to be able to do this flight. And so I had to weigh that and the taking them on the adventure. Plus, I just like flying. And but it ended up working out. So trust your gut, make the right aviation and aeronautical decisions, and hopefully everything will work out. So there you go.